Coming straight from the mind of the late great Akira Toriyama himself, we have the Sandland series. This is something that a lot of people might not have heard of, especially compared to his pinnacle series, Dragon Ball.
What do I care about seeing your dirty old fanny?
Now, before the first game trailer dropped for this, I didn't know much about this series at all. Like, I would randomly see the main character here and there online, but I didn't really know that much about it. I looked into it and found out that this is a passion project that Toriyama made back in 2000. And that passion project only ended up being a one-volume manga. So yeah, it's a short story, but that's mainly because it was a pain to keep the series going regularly with how detailed he made the tank. And even if you've only seen Dragon Ball, you know that he goes in when he makes his machines. So unfortunately, he did have to cut that series short, but that doesn't mean that that was the end. Fast forward 23 years, and now this series is not only given an anime series, a movie, and a video game, but now even the story is lengthened beyond what he originally published. So if anything, this is truly the best time for anyone to take a look at the series and show some respect to the GOAT who created it. Which is why today we'll be looking at Sandland, the video game, and seeing exactly what makes it a must play. Because even if you did already see the anime and watch the movie and read the original manga, there's still so much more here that I'm positive you'll want to sink your teeth into. So the plot for this and the other recent series are going to be bigger than the original manga since they cover some extra content outside of what happens there. We still follow Beelzebub, son of the Demon King, along with Thief, another demon that's great at stealing things. Then we have Rao, a sheriff who's seeking the help of the demons to bring back water to the land. But on top of those characters that are staple to the original series, we also get to meet some new characters who add a lot more to the overall plot. Like Anne, who ends up being a really great mechanic. She does end up leading us into newer parts of the story, including an entirely new place with its own citizens and army. I won't go too deep into the details on that since I would totally recommend that you either watch the new anime or read the manga for yourself. I mean, if you want to read the manga, it's literally only one volume, so I mean, just do it. But this game covers a lot of the main plot points you'll see there, including conflicts with the army and stories of the war that took place decades ago. But one thing it does so much better than anything else is that it digs deeper into the lives of the people who live within Sandland. One of our main goals ends up being to rebuild the town of Spino, and the way that we do that is by completing a variety of side quests. Some of these can range from being fetch quests or missions to defeat enemies, or even things like competing in races. But the best part is that every quest revolves around new faces that we get to meet and interact with. Completing those missions often ends up with the person asking to become a resident of Spino, and some of them will actually add new shops where you can buy materials or customize your vehicles. Some of the people here are really lively, and they make this barren wasteland of an open world feel that much more lived in. You even come across some random NPCs who are in trouble, and you can help them out really quickly by saving them from monsters or enemy soldiers. A few months back I made a video on the demo, and I thought it was pretty decent. But now that I'm getting a chance to play the full game, I feel like the demo didn't do this game enough justice. It did a great job of showcasing the vehicle combat, but I never expected there to be so much more focus on the overall world. I'd say that while the combat is good, it wasn't as interesting as getting to see more from the people that we got to meet. But since we do have to talk about the combat, there's multiple different ways of how fights work. First, there's a kind of fights without a vehicle at all. You take control of Beelzebub through the whole game, and his basic combo attack is pretty strong. Against most regular guys, one combo string could knock him out cold. But when you start getting into tougher fights and boss battles, he has a bunch of special moves you can unlock. Some are unlocked on the skill tree, but there's even more that you can unlock as you progress through the story. He can do things like throwing a flurry of punches or even throwing massive rocks at enemies. But if you need an extra hand, you can also call on Rao and Thief to do some special moves. Like Rao can summon a tank to help fight, and Thief will drop explosives to get in an enemy's way. And then even later, Anne adds more to it by being able to fix up vehicles during battle. And that leads into the other side of combat where you can take your vehicles and bots into battle. Now, not every vehicle is good for fighting, but there's a good amount of options based on what's happening. For example, you can use the motorbike to speed through the open world and to get to places really fast. And that even goes for things like the dirt buggy that you get even later on. But for actual combat, they're not really suited for that. It's hard to aim with those, so the guns on them are something that you would use if you needed to. That's why we have such a massive selection to choose from, because each bot opens up more ways to play. You start off with the tank, and through the entire game, this was one of the best combat vehicles. It can shoot out with both a machine gun and a cannon that you can swap between whenever you need to. It has a great amount of power, but just like most vehicles, it also has its downsides, like not being very quick with dodging enemy gunfire. So you also have things like a jump bot to be able to jump around and move quickly. And it also comes in handy for a lot of the platforming sections in the open world. It's not as durable, but it gives you that extra amount of flexibility. Even later when you get the battle bot, you can see that the punches are devastating, but it leaves you open since you need to be close to deal damage. I just love the options that open up as you make your way through the story. They constantly give you new vehicles to unlock, with a lot of them appearing later on in the story. Like, I swore I looked back at my menu and I saw like 10 other vehicles that I could make, and I just had no idea that I could make them. And if you want to craft a lot of these bots, then you need a lot of materials that you can either get from the open world, side quests, or merchants that you can unlock in Spino. And there's a ton of customization options for how you want each vehicle to operate. Things like engines, suspension, chips, weapons, and even the paint job are things you can customize. There's a lot of variety for each vehicle, so unfortunately I can't get that too deep into detail, or else I'd be here all day. They give you a lot to work with, and if you really want to immerse yourself in everything it has to offer, then you have plenty of things to do. I gotta say, I bought this game wanting to show love to Toriyama and ended up finding myself tied up in an amazing game. It did a great job of expanding on the world and giving the longtime fans something more to look forward to. I feel like this was a perfect way to show off one of his less popular series, and I hope that a lot more people will get to experience it going forward. Let me know your thoughts on Sandland in the comments. Subscribe for more videos just like this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.